Well, friends, in today's class, we are to discuss about the measuring process of intelligence. Up till now, we have discussed about the very meaning of intelligence, as well as we have discussed the definitions with the help of which we can understand intelligence so much well. Participants, intelligence is one of the most important concerns of psychology. It is one of the most important units of discussion or subject of discussion in psychology, and for all teachers, for students, for the participants, for all entrepreneurs, officials, and all of us are to know as well as understand intelligence so much well for understanding human behavior. And without understanding or without having clear concept concerning to human behavior, it gets difficult for us to lead life in the complex social order by facing all the challenges successfully. Participants, success of life basically depends on the proper functioning of intelligence, which is one of the most important genetically transmitted potentialities, or which is one of the most important elements of human psyche. Intelligence, as we understand, is such a specific capability of our psychic order, that is mental order, with the help of which we face life situations and live life as per the demand of our physical chemistry, our mental dimension, by facing the challenges of our life order. And for understanding intelligence, measuring intelligence is one of the most important prerequisites. And for understanding the concept of measurement of intelligence, which is to be discussed today in detail, participants, we are to understand the implication of the term measurement so much well. Measurement is such a term which is in brief explained as the action of measuring for the performance of any type of life activity or activities. The term we have to apply so much well in understandable measure. Once we go to market, we say 1 kilogram sugar we need, 1 liter mustard oil, 1 liter milk, like this. So this liter, kilogram, we have to walk 1 mile, 2 mile, 2 kilometers. This kilometer is a measuring tool or scale. At the time of, you see, when you are in your kitchen, suppose you are to prepare a cup of tea, and before doing so, you are to know so much well how much sugar you are to put, how much water you are to take, and how much milk you are to take. Then spot how much, you see, tea you are to put. And by accumulating all or everything, how much time you are to boil. And there though you do not apply any scientific measuring tool, depending on your idea, suppose in a cup of tea, you are to put a spoonful of sugar, suppose 1/4 cup of milk, half cup of water, 1.5 spoonful of tea you are to add. and for 5 to 7 minutes or 10 minutes you have to boil, and that's what the cup of tea will be ready to take. So friends, everything we do or perform in our daily life, we do depending on measurement. And as intelligence is one of the very important psychic potentialities or mental capabilities on which our life depends, all activities depend, we are to know so much well about the process of measurement of intelligence. Let us see. Measurement very simply means very understandably means the action of measuring. Measurement of intelligence very simply and in an understandable way means the action of measuring intelligence, which is one of the most important inborn human attributes of human psyche. For the measurement of intelligence, we find different tests, different tools which have been developed by the psychologists and the experts depending on their research activities. Let us see the next one. For knowing about the tests and tools for the measurement of intelligence, we have to know about James McKim Cattell. Cattell was born in 1860 and he died in 1944. And he is a famous US psychologist who has close association with the process of development of psychological measuring scales or tools or tests for the measurement of intelligence. And James McKim Cattell, this is the portrait, this is the reference wherefrom we have taken the portrait, who may be credited for introducing the term mental test. Means once we have to know about who first introduced the term in the field of measuring various capacities of human mental dimension, we must have to know the name of James McKim Cattell, the great US psychologist, because he for the first time introduced the term mental test. James McKim Cattell, he was born on May 25th, 1860, and he died on January 20th, 1944. As specified means who first of all introduced the term mental test. A famous psychologist oriented US psychology toward the use of objective experimental methods, mental testing, and application of psychology to the fields of education, business, industry, and advertising, specially for measuring intelligence and categorize people accordingly, and take systematic decision on select methodology of teaching in the field of teaching and learning. So friends, not only for engaging people for different types of activities, but also for the performance of various types of activities in our day-to-day life, our concept concerning to psychology, concerning to intelligence is to be so much well. And for doing so, we have to know how we can measure intelligence. And for knowing this, we must have to know about all those great psychologists who help us to get the test tools on measuring means and mediums. Let us go back to the next one. Basically, Cattell is famed as the 20th century psychologist from England who contributed to the modern field of psychology much. Initially, he studied chemistry and physics. See friends, from the field of science he came to the field of psychology. At the University of London, a hint at the scientific and mathematical approach he would take to psychology and fulfilled his dream with the contribution of much to the modern field of American psychology in general and to the modern field of psychology in specific for helping us understand psychology so much well and to know how to measure intelligence. Let us see the next. Cattell first became interested in psychology in the context of the cultural impact of World War I, and gradually he was specialized in this field in the area of intelligence and methodology of research. Friends, we come to know about First World War, 1939 and 1940, 1939, 1944, Second World War also we are so much well. How the World War, you see, horrified humanity, we know so much well. So after the First World War, Cattell was interested to know the impact of World War I on human social, cultural parameter as well as on human life. Cattell's use of statistical methods and quantification of data, which is very much important in quantitative research, because the contribution of Cattell for the conduction of research in the field of psychology as well as in other fields is much. And he was in favor of the use of statistical methods and quantification of data for the interpretation and analysis purposes and reporting the result in much valid way for greater acceptance, help in the development of American psychology as an experimental science. Friends, as we understand, psychology is a positive science, but James McKim Cattell, with his own contribution, with the knowledge of modern science to the field of psychology, you see, he helped us to know much about experimental science or experimental psychology, because he contributed much towards the field of experimental psychology and he helped us to get the clues for the analysis of quantitative analysis of data for helping people to get the result in more concrete and scientific way. Let us see the next. He was one of the first psychologists in America to stress the importance of quantification, ranking and ratings so as to categorize people as per their inborn intelligence. Ranking is so much important, you know so much well. In your examination result also, ranking has special significance. First class, second class, first class, first. In classroom situation, roll number 1, 2, these are the ranks which are given depending on or with the help of the measurement of intelligence capabilities of the learners. So friends, ranking is so much well, and for the determination of our rank in life, our rank in social order, our rank in academic parameter, our rank in administrative paradigm, these are very much important, and for doing so, we have to depend on the process of measurement of intelligence. In same situation, Cattell introduced the leap key in 1886 when he was still Wundt's assistant in Leipzig, Germany. Wundt, first of all, established his laboratory in Germany, and Cattell was closely associated with Wundt. It was used in his classic study, that is the time taken up by cerebral operations, published in Mind in 1886, concerning to the functioning of human mind as well as the role of human anatomy in the process of establishment of human superiority, intellectual superiority. You see, Cattell working with wound did much and help us know much about the functioning of mental dimension as well as the exercises of human anatomy in the exposition of human intelligence. The history of psychological development informs that Galton's efforts were followed up in the United States by psychologist Cattell, and new history in the field of measurement of intelligence and research came to light. In science situations, considering the importance of testing for shortlisting people as per capabilities, Cattell coined the term mental test for the first time to refer to Galtonian measures. Let us see the next. As per the request of the French Minister of Education to devise a method of distinguishing between normal and feeble-minded children, Theodore Simon, the famous French psychiatrist, started his work. This is also very much important. You please study this slide so much well. Simon worked with Alfred Binet. Who is Binet? A famous French psychologist. Simon was one of the colleagues of Alfred Binet in Paris. He helped to develop and was the co-author of the test for measuring intelligence or estimating intelligence roughly. This is the history, how things have been coming, up, or how things or how the information we are getting, how the test, how the tools, how the procedures for measuring human intelligence we are having. Let us see the next. Theodore Simon, this is his portrait. This is the reference where from the portrait has been taken out. The principal conclusion from the work of both Simon and Alfred Binet was that the test they developed could measure the intellectual development of young children between the age of 3 and 12 years old in uneven manner. Let us see the next. Thus, the first Binet-Simon test appeared in 1905 with the help of which we basically measure human intelligence. This test was again revised in 1908 and 1911. This was an individual test of performance for measuring the intelligence of human individual. The scores of this test were interpreted in terms of mental age, that is MA, mental age. You certainly once enter into the field of psychology, about two most important abbreviation MA and CA. MA means mental age, means human intellectual capability, and chronological age means birth age. CA means chronological age, means birth age. A person once considered from the viewpoint of intelligence may be very low once it is measured. Suppose you are 20 years old and there is a 3 years boy. Many questions are being put, same questions. And the boy whose age is 4 to 5 years, he answers suppose out of 20 questions correctly, 20. And a person whose birth age, CA, chronological age is 20 years, the same questions which were being put to the little child were put to him and he failed to answer rightly out of 20, 10. Means the person whose age is, birth age is 20, he answered simply 10 items so much rightly. But the little boy whose birth age is 5 years, he answered all the 20 questions rightly. Now, from the standpoint of intelligence, the little boy whose age is 5 years, his mental age is 20 years. means 20 years, and the person whose age, birth age is, chronological age is 20 years, he has answered 10 items rightly, means his mental age is 10 years, means the little boy is more intelligent than the matured person. So friends, we can measure intelligence this way, by the or with the help of the Binet-Simon test. You see, which was for the first time developed in 1905 and thenceforth it was revised in 1908 and it was again revised in 1911. And depending on the items of all these Binet-Simon scales, we can measure human intelligence, which is one of the preconditions or prerequisites for understanding human intellectual power, for distributing responsible activities among different people. So friends, you are to see intelligence so much well, you are to know the measuring procedure of intelligence so much well for the determination of your place in this complex social order. You see, and you measure your own intelligence depending on the specific tests and tools which are being developed by the psychologists about whom we have already mentioned so much well. Thank you.